In a universe where gods walk among mortals and the impossible happens every Tuesday, there exists a hierarchy of power that keeps reality from tearing itself apart. Superman holds back planets, Wonder Woman battles gods. The Flash outruns death itself. This balance, this careful distribution of strength, weakness, and limitation, is what allows heroes to be heroes and villains to be defeated. But what happens when something enters this universe that doesn't understand limits? What happens when the rule book gets torn up by someone who doesn't even know the rules exist? The answer fell from the sky on a Thursday afternoon, and the DC universe would never be the same. If you want more DC Universe stories that explore the heroes and villains you love, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment with the character or storyline you want to see next. Justice is calling. Metropolis gleamed under the afternoon sun, its crystalline towers reflecting light like a city built from hope itself. On the corner of 5th and Pemberton, Clark Kent adjusted his glasses and pretended to take notes while his super hearing tracked 17 different emergencies across the city. A bank robbery on the south side, a fire in Hobbs Bay, a mugging in... The sky tore open, not metaphorically, not like a storm cloud or atmospheric disturbance. The actual fabric of space-time ripped apart with a sound like reality screaming, and something fell through. Clark's notepad hit the ground. His X-ray vision kicked in automatically, scanning the object plummeting toward downtown at terminal velocity. Not a meteor. Not a spacecraft. A person. A man in some kind of yellow suit with a white cape, falling unconscious through dimensional barriers that sparked with energy his Kryptonian heritage recognized as wrong. The kind of energy that shouldn't exist in this universe. The man was going to hit the LexCorp satellite array. Clark moved. The world blurred as Superman accelerated upward, shedding his human disguise in a phone booth that probably shouldn't still exist, but did because Metropolis believed in certain traditions. He reached the falling figure in 2.3 seconds, positioned himself for intercept, and... The man's eyes snapped open. One hand, lazily, casually, almost bored, reached out and caught the multi-ton satellite that had broken free from its moorings. Caught it like someone catching a beach ball. The impact should have shattered every bone in a human hand, should have generated a shockwave that leveled 6 city blocks. Instead, the man yawned. "Oh," he said, his voice flat and disinterested. "I'm falling, huh?" Superman hovered 3 feet away, his cape billowing in wind currents that didn't seem to affect the stranger at all. The man had a bald head, a face that looked perpetually tired, and eyes that held the kind of existential exhaustion Clark had only seen in soldiers who'd fought too long. "I've got you," Superman said, reaching out. "Nah, I'm good." The man tossed the satellite, the multi-million-dollar orbital array, back toward space with a flick of his wrist. It sailed upward, somehow achieving perfect orbital velocity from a casual throw. The man then oriented himself, looked down at Metropolis below, and started falling again with his arms crossed. "Which way's the ground?" "I what?" Superman blinked. "I'm trying to save you." "From what?" "From falling to your death." The man considered this, still plummeting. "Oh, yeah, I guess that'd kill most people." He looked at Superman with vague interest. "You that Superman guy? The hero?" Clark dove beside him, matching velocity. They had maybe 10 seconds before impact. "Yes. Please, let me help you. Got any strong guys around here?" The bald man's eyes showed the first spark of something beyond apathy. Like, really strong? I've been looking for a good fight for like 3 years. 5 seconds to impact. Superman made a decision. He grabbed the man, surprisingly solid. His body density felt wrong under Clark's grip, and arrested their fall with a burst of speed that generated a sonic boom. They stopped 3 feet above the pavement of Centennial Park, where afternoon joggers froze mid-stride. The man looked disappointed. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "I've fallen from space before. It's boring." Superman set him down gently, his mind racing. His X-ray vision showed normal human anatomy. His super hearing detected a heartbeat, slow, steady, completely unconcerned. But something about this man made every Kryptonian instinct Clark possessed scream danger in a way Darkseid never had. "What's your name?" Clark asked. "Saitama." The man looked around Metropolis with the same bored expression someone might give a hotel lobby. "This isn't City Z. This is Metropolis. Earth, are you? From another dimension?" "Probably." Saitama scratched his bald head. "There was this purple portal thing. I walked through it because I was going to be late for a sale at the supermarket, and then I was falling." He sighed deeply. "I probably missed the sale." Superman's communicator buzzed. Batman's voice, tight with tension. "Superman, report. We detected a dimensional breach and you went silent." "I'm fine, Batman. I've encountered a..." Clark paused, studying Saitama, who was now examining a hot dog cart with more interest than he'd shown the near-death experience. "A visitor. I'm bringing him to the watchtower." "Is he a threat?" Clark watched Saitama casually catch a frisbee that would have hit him in the head, then throw it back to a college student. The frisbee sailed across the park, through 3 trees, and embedded itself in a concrete wall a quarter-mile away. Saitama didn't even notice. "I don't know," Superman said quietly. "That's what worries me." "Be advised," Batman continued. "Our dimensional scanners registered energy readings when he arrived. Whatever opened that portal used power equivalent to a boom tube, but the signature is unknown. No matches in our database." Saitama wandered over. "Hey, Superman guy, you know where I can find strong opponents? Like galaxy-destroying strong? I'm really bored." Clark felt a chill despite the afternoon heat. "Galaxy-destroying?" "Yeah." Saitama's expression remained bland. "Last good fight I had was against this alien warlord. He destroyed my apartment. I was pretty mad about that." He said it the way someone might discuss a parking ticket. "And what happened to this warlord?" "Oh, I killed him." Saitama said it with the same emotional weight as mentioning he'd bought groceries. Serious punch. He was okay, lasted a few hits, but nothing really challenges me anymore, you know. Superman's jaw tightened. "How many hits? Like 3? 4? He was really trying too. I respect that." Saitama looked at Clark with sudden focus. "Hey, you're pretty strong, right? Want to fight?" "I don't fight without reason." "Oh." The disappointment in Saitama's voice was profound. "Everyone says that." Before Clark could respond, the screaming started. 6 blocks east, something massive burst through the street. Superman's vision locked onto it instantly. Gray skin, bone protrusions, dead white eyes. His heart sank. Doomsday. The monster that had killed him, the walking apocalypse that had taken the entire Justice League to contain. It roared, and windows shattered for 3 blocks. "I need to go," Superman said. already rising. Stay here. It's not safe. Saitama was looking at Doomsday with the first genuine interest Clark had seen. What's that? A Kryptonian weapon, one of the most dangerous beings on Earth. I need to evacuate. Doomsday charged, each footstep cratering concrete. It covered 6 blocks in seconds, faster than any human could track. Saitama started walking toward it. Stop, Clark shouted. It'll kill you. Maybe, Saitama said, and there was something in his voice. Not hope, but the ghost of it. That'd be interesting. Doomsday leaped, claws extended, mouth open in a roar that shattered eardrums. Superman moved to intercept. Saitama threw a punch. Not a super-speed punch. Not an energy-enhanced strike. Just a punch, casual and bored. The kind someone might throw to shoo away a fly. The shockwave hit first. Windows exploded for half a mile. Cars flipped. The ground cracked in a perfect circle radiating from Saitama's fist. And Doomsday, the unkillable monster, the creature of evolution and rage, simply ceased to exist from the chest up. Its body sailed backward, disintegrating into ash before it hit the ground. Silence fell over Metropolis. Saitama looked at his fist, then sighed deeply. One punch. Again. He turned to Superman, and his eyes held an exhaustion that transcended physical tiredness. Story of my life. Clark stared at the ash settling on the street, at the crater where Doomsday's feet had been, at this bald man in a ridiculous yellow suit who had just erased a planetary threat like it was nothing. What are you? Clark whispered. Saitama shrugged. Just a hero for fun. In the watchtower, alarms began screaming. Batman's voice crackled through every Justice League communicator. Emergency protocol. Someone just killed Doomsday with one hit. I repeat, one hit. All available heroes to Metropolis immediately. Saitama scratched his head. Is that bad? I thought I helped. Superman floated there, his mind struggling to process what he'd witnessed. In all his years of protecting Earth, facing gods and monsters, he'd never felt what he felt now. Fear. Not of being hurt. Not of being defeated. Fear of meeting someone who made him question if there was any point to fighting at all. The Justice League watchtower hung in geosynchronous orbit above Earth, a testament to humanity's alliance with the extraordinary. Inside its main conference room, 7 of Earth's greatest heroes sat in stunned silence, watching satellite footage replay for the 4th time. Doomsday charging, the bald man's casual punch, the monster's complete disintegration. 2.3 seconds from threat to ash. Run it again, Batman said, his voice tight. Bruce, we've watched it a dozen times, Wonder Woman said, but her hand rested on her lasso. A tell Clark recognized. She was nervous. Diana, who'd faced Ares himself, was nervous. Then we'll watch it 13 times. Batman's white lenses narrowed at the screen. There has to be an explanation, energy signature, power source, something. There's nothing, Cyborg said, his human eye reflecting the holographic data stream spiraling around him. No energy discharge, no gamma radiation, no tachyon particles, no speed force signature. It's like he just punched really hard. Nobody punches that hard, Green Lantern said. Hal Jordan's ring flickered green with his agitation. I fought Mongol. I fought Sinestro with a yellow ring. That kind of force requires planetary-scale energy output. And yet, Flash said, vibrating slightly in his seat, the dude looks like he shops at a discount costume store. No offense to discount costume stores. Superman sat at the head of the table, silent. He hadn't spoken since beaming Saitama aboard, leaving him in a waiting room with a complimentary fruit basket and magazines from 2019. The man had seemed more interested in the fruit. "Clark," Batman said. "You were there. What's your assessment?" Every eye turned to him. Clark Kent had faced down Darkseid, had moved planets, had died and come back. If Superman looked shaken, that meant something. "I don't think he's a threat," Clark said carefully. "But I don't think we can stop him if he becomes one." The temperature in the room dropped. "That's not acceptable," Batman said flatly. "It's the truth." Clark met his old friend's gaze. "Bruce, I watched him catch a satellite like it was a balloon. He fell from orbital height and was annoyed I interrupted. And Doomsday..." His voice cracked slightly. "We know what Doomsday is. What it took to stop him last time." The memory hung heavy. Clark's death, Lois's screams, the world mourning. "This Saitama ended it with a distracted punch," Clark continued. "He wasn't even trying. He looked disappointed. It ended so fast." "So he's got Superman-level strength," Hal said. "We've dealt with that before." "No," Clark shook his head. "You're not understanding. It's not Superman level. It's not Darkseid level. I don't think there is a level. When I look at him with my X-ray vision, I see a normal human, but my instincts, every Kryptonian combat sense I have, screams that he's the most dangerous thing I've ever encountered." "Instincts can be wrong," Batman said. "Can they?" Wonder Woman leaned forward. "I felt it too. When Superman brought him aboard, I was in the training room. The moment he arrived, every Amazon combat sense I possess went silent. Not alert, silent. As if my body decided there was no point in preparing for a fight it couldn't win." Martian Manhunter, who'd been silent until now, spoke with his deep, measured tone. "I attempted a surface-level telepathic scan, with his permission, of course." "And?" Batman demanded. "Nothing. Not psychic shields. I know what those feel like. Not mental discipline, just nothing. As if his mind exists on a frequency I cannot perceive." John's red eyes betrayed rare uncertainty. "In 800 years, I have never encountered a mind I could not at least sense." The doors hissed open. Saitama walked in, escorted by Green Arrow, who looked profoundly uncomfortable. The bald hero had a half-eaten apple in one hand and a copy of Metropolis Monthly in the other. "Hey," Saitama said, waving with the apple. "This is a nice space station. You guys got a good deal on the real estate." Nobody laughed. Batman stood, his cape settling around him like judgment itself. "Saitama, we need to ask you some questions." "Sure." Saitama sat down in the empty chair, looking utterly at ease, surrounded by Earth's most powerful beings. "But can I ask one first?" "Go ahead," Clark said gently. "Do any of you guys want to fight me? Like, seriously fight?" His eyes held desperate hope. "I've been looking for a real challenge for years. You're all heroes, right? Heroes are usually strong." The room exchanged glances. "We don't fight without cause," Wonder Woman said carefully. Saitama's face fell. "Yeah, everyone says that." He took another bite of apple. "It's always about causes and reasons. Can't anyone just fight because they want to test themselves anymore?" "That's called assault," Flash muttered. "Where I'm from, there's a hero association," Saitama explained, oblivious to the tension. "Monsters attack all the time. Dragon-level threats, god-level threats. I usually handle them. One punch, maybe two if I'm not paying attention. It gets old, you know. Dragon-level threats? Cyborg's database searches came up empty. We don't have classifications like that here. Oh, Saitama considered. Dragon level can destroy multiple cities. God level threatens humanity's existence. I've fought a few of those. And you defeated them, Batman said. It wasn't a question. Yeah. One punch usually does it. Saitama's voice carried an exhaustion that had nothing to do with physical tiredness. Do you know what it's like? To train so hard you break your limits, become strong enough to save everyone, and then realize you've become so strong that nothing matters anymore. The silence stretched. Every fight ends before it begins, Saitama continued, staring at his fist. Every monster, every villain, every threat, gone. No challenge, no struggle, no victory that feels earned. I'm a hero, but I've forgotten what it feels like to actually fight for something. Clark felt something unexpected. Sympathy. He'd spent his life holding back, afraid of what he might do with his full strength, but Saitama had no reason to hold back, and nothing that required he use his full strength. How did you get so strong? Wonder Woman asked. Saitama brightened. Oh, that's easy. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. Every single day for 3 years. No heat in winter, no AC in summer, and 3 meals a day, just a banana in the morning is fine. The Justice League stared. That's impossible, Cyborg said. That's a basic conditioning routine. That wouldn't even get you to peak human. Worked for me. Saitama shrugged. I went bald, but I got strong. Batman's jaw tightened. He's either lying, delusional, or operating on physics we don't understand. I'm not lying, Saitama said, genuinely confused. Why would I lie about my training? Because that regimen couldn't possibly. Hal started. Alarms shrieked through the watchtower. We've got multiple boom tubes opening over Metropolis, Cyborg announced, his systems interfacing with the station. Apocalypse signature. 50, no, 100 parademons, and something bigger coming through. The view screen shifted to show the sky over Metropolis tearing open with Darkseid's signature technology. Winged horrors pour through, their screams audible even from orbit. Justice League, mobilize, Batman commanded. Everyone moved, except Saitama, who watched the screen with vague interest. Are those the strong guys? He asked. Those are parademons, Superman said, already heading for the transport tubes. Shock troops from Apocalypse. We need to evacuate civilians before. I'll handle it, Saitama said, standing up. You can't just. Clark started. Saitama walked to the airlock. Which way's Earth? You're in space, Flash said. You can't breathe in? Saitama opened the airlock. Decompression alarms screamed. He stepped out into the vacuum, looked down at Earth below, and jumped. He didn't fall. He flew, or rather, he jumped so hard that he achieved escape velocity in reverse, leaving a Saitama-shaped impact crater in the watchtower's outer hull. Did he just? Green Arrow started. He's accelerating, Cyborg said, reading the impossible data. Mach 20, Mach 50, Mach 100. He's going to hit the atmosphere at. The sky over Metropolis ignited. A meteor of human flesh and yellow suit punched through the parademon formation like a bullet through paper. 50 parademons simply ceased to exist. The shockwaves scattered the rest across 3 states. Saitama landed in the middle of the boom tube convergence point and yawned. On the watchtower, The Justice League watched in absolute silence. "I'm starting to think," Flash said slowly, "that we're not the strongest heroes on Earth anymore." Batman's fists clenched. "Find me everything. His origin, his limits, his weaknesses. Everything." "Bruce," Clark said quietly. "What if he doesn't have any?" The Dark Knight's expression was carved from stone. "Everyone has weaknesses. We just need to find his before someone else does." The Batcave hummed with the sound of quantum processors analyzing impossible data. 72 hours had passed since Saitama's arrival, and Bruce Wayne hadn't slept for 60 of them. The cave's main screen displayed everything they'd gathered. Satellite footage, energy readings, behavioral analysis, even grocery store security camera footage of Saitama comparison shopping for cabbage. Nothing made sense. "Master Bruce?" Alfred's voice carried concern down from the manor. "Perhaps some rest?" "He caught a parademon swarm with his bare hands, Alfred." Bruce's voice was raw from exhaustion and frustration. 50 military-grade bioweapons moving at supersonic speeds. He just grabbed them, like catching butterflies. "And this troubles you because?" "Because there's no energy signature, no speed force, no Kryptonian solar battery. No new god physiology. He's human, Alfred. Completely, impossibly human. And that terrifies me more than anything I've faced." The computer chimed. Another analysis complete, another dead end. Bruce pulled up Saitama's background. What little existed. The dimensional breach had pulled him from a parallel Earth, one with similar geography but wildly different physics. A world where monsters appeared from nowhere and heroes ranked themselves in official associations. In that world, Saitama was Class B, Rank 7, middle tier. "Computer, explain the ranking discrepancy." The AI's voice was clinical. "Based on available data from Saitama's testimony, hero rankings in his dimension are based on popularity and political factors, not power levels. Physical capability assessment is secondary to public approval ratings." Bruce's jaw tightened. A bureaucracy had classified the most powerful being he'd ever encountered as middle management. Either that world was insane or... The Bat computer screamed an alert. "Orbital satellite detecting massive energy buildup at LexCorp Tower," the AI announced. "Kryptonite signature, weapons-grade concentration." Bruce's fingers flew across the keyboard. Security feeds showed Lex Luthor's private laboratory, the billionaire standing before a massive kryptonite cannon aimed at the sky, and on a monitor in Luthor's lab, footage of Saitama punching Doomsday into ash. "Damn it, Lex," Bruce muttered, already moving toward the bat wing. "Don't do what you're thinking." But he knew. He'd seen that expression on Luthor's face before. The calculating genius who saw Superman as a threat had found something he considered worse. A hero he couldn't predict, control, or understand. And Lex Luthor's solution to unpredictable power was always the same. Eliminate it. LexCorp Tower gleamed against Metropolis's evening skyline, its CEO standing in his private laboratory with the satisfaction of a man who'd solved an impossible equation. Around him, a dozen of Earth's brightest scientists monitored equipment that hummed with barely contained energy. "Mr. Luthor," Dr. Chen said nervously, "are you certain this is wise?" "We don't know how he'll react to... That's precisely why we're doing this, Doctor." Lex adjusted his purple suit, his reflection in the kryptonite chamber's glass, showing a man absolutely convinced of his righteousness. 3 days ago, something entered our universe that operates outside every natural law we understand. No energy source, no biological explanation, no exploitable weakness. He saved hundreds of lives when he stopped those parademons, another scientist offered. Today, Lex's voice hardened. What about tomorrow? What happens when this Saitama decides he's bored with saving people? What happens when someone with infinite power and finite patience decides he knows what's best for humanity? He pulled up footage on the holographic display, Saitama yawning while parademons exploded around him. Saitama casually catching bullets meant for civilians. Saitama sitting on a park bench, looking at the sky with eyes that held the exhaustion of someone who'd forgotten what it meant to try. Superman at least has limits, Lex continued. Weaknesses we can exploit if he ever crosses the line. But this is something beyond gods. And I refuse to let humanity's fate rest in the hands of a man who treats planetary threats like household chores. So what's the plan? Dr. Chen asked. Lex smiled. Simple. We determine if he can be hurt. And if he can't, his fingers drummed on the kryptonite chamber. We find out if he can be reasoned with, under the right circumstances. You're going to threaten him. I'm going to establish boundaries. Lex turned to his lead engineer. Is the neural disruptor ready? Yes, sir. Tuned to the frequency that incapacitated Superman during the... I know what it did. Lex's eyes gleamed. Activate the beacon. Let's see if our guest responds to invitations. Across Metropolis, in a small apartment the Justice League had provided, Saitama sat on a futon, watching television. Some hero show with people in capes fighting a giant robot. He'd already seen this one. The robot would lose. They always lost. His communicator, a gift from Cyborg, chirped. A message scrolled across the small screen. Saitama, this is Lex Luthor. I believe we should discuss your place in our world. LexCorp Tower, penthouse level. Come alone. I promise you'll find our conversation illuminating. Saitama stared at the message, then at the TV where the hero was dramatically powering up for a finishing move that would take 3 episodes. Maybe this Luthor guy wanted to fight. The message seemed kind of threatening. That was usually how villain challenges started in the shows. He stood up, pulled on his yellow suit, and jumped out the window. The building shook slightly. Somewhere below, car alarms started wailing. Batman's Batwing screamed across Metropolis airspace, but he was already too late. His sensors detected Saitama's approach vector, a ballistic trajectory that suggested he'd simply jumped from his apartment and was now falling toward LexCorp Tower with the aerodynamics of a brick. Superman, do you copy? Clark's voice crackled through. I'm 3 minutes out, Bruce. What's Luthor planning? Nothing good. He's activated a kryptonite weapons system. I think he's going to try intimidating Saitama. A pause. That's possibly the worst idea I've ever heard. Agreed. But Lex sees Saitama as an uncontrolled variable. You know how he gets about those. Bruce pulled up thermal imaging of LexCorp Tower. 12 scientists, 30 security personnel, and enough kryptonite to kill Superman 3 times over. Luthor stood at the center, calm as ever, watching Saitama's approach on his monitors. He's not going to hurt him, Bruce, Clark said. Luthor's many things, but he's not suicidal. That's what worries me. Lex doesn't do things without layers. If he's inviting Saitama, it's because he thinks he's found leverage. Saitama crashed through LexCorp Tower's penthouse window. Not the door, not the balcony entrance. The window. 20 stories of reinforced glass exploded inward as Saitama landed in a crouch, looked around, and stood up, brushing glass shards from his suit. "Oh," he said, noticing the destruction. "Was I supposed to use the door?" Lex Luthor stood perfectly still, his scientists frozen in terror. Only his eyes moved, tracking Saitama with the intensity of a man staring at a black hole. "Hello, Saitama," Lex said smoothly. "Thank you for accepting my invitation. You said it'd be illuminating." Saitama looked around the lab. "Is that like a light show or something? Because I'm not really into those." "I meant intellectually illuminating." Lex gestured to the kryptonite cannon, making sure Saitama saw it. "I wanted to discuss your future here. In our world." Saitama noticed the weapon. "That's a big gun. It's a deterrent. Insurance, if you will." "Against what?" "You." Lex's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You are an unknown variable, Saitama. Unprecedented power with no apparent source, no clear motivation beyond being a hero for fun. Do you understand why that makes people nervous?" Saitama scratched his head. "Not really. I stop bad guys. Isn't that what heroes do?" "Heroes have accountability, registration, oversight." Lex pulled up holographic displays showing Saitama's destruction. Shattered streets, damaged buildings, atmospheric disturbances from his jumps. "You've caused $17 million in property damage in 3 days." "Oh." Saitama actually looked apologetic. "Sorry about that. I'm not used to buildings being this fragile." "What happens when you're not sorry? What happens when someone makes you angry?" Lex stepped closer to the kryptonite cannon's control panel. "What happens when you decide humanity isn't worth protecting anymore?" "Why would I decide that?" "Because you're bored, Saitama. I've watched the footage. You're profoundly, existentially bored. And bored people with infinite power are historically quite dangerous." Saitama's expression shifted. Not to anger, but to something worse. Recognition. "You've been thinking about this a lot." "It's what I do. I think about threats." "And you think I'm a threat?" "I think you're the greatest threat this world has ever faced. Not because you're evil, but because you don't have to try. You could sneeze and destroy a city block. You could have a bad day and end civilization. That kind of power shouldn't exist without checks and balances." Saitama was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Is that thing supposed to scare me? The kryptonite cannon?" "No, you're not Kryptonian." Lex's finger hovered over a button. "But the neural disruptor underneath your feet might give you pause. It generates a frequency that induces catastrophic seizures in enhanced individuals. Superman described it as having his brain microwaved from the inside." Saitama looked down. "Huh. That sounds unpleasant. So here's my proposal. You submit to testing. We determine your limits, your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities. You register with the government. You accept oversight. And in exchange, I don't activate a weapon that might actually hurt you." The lab was silent, except for the hum of machinery. Saitama looked at Lex Luthor with eyes that had seen too much. "You seem like a smart guy." "I am. So you should know, threatening me is how villains start conversations, and I don't really like villains." Lex's finger moved toward the button. Saitama's hand moved faster. The entire weapons system, kryptonite cannon, neural disruptor, backup generators, everything, crumpled like aluminum foil. Saitama had simply reached out and squeezed, moving so fast that Batman's sensors couldn't track it. The machinery compressed into a basketball-sized sphere of twisted metal and shattered kryptonite. "There," Saitama said, setting the sphere on Lex's desk like a paperweight. "Now we can talk without the weird threat stuff." Lex Luthor stared at his life's work compressed into scrap metal. His face showed something Batman had never seen before. Pure, undiluted fear. Lex Luthor had faced Superman, had stared down Darkseid, had negotiated with beings who considered humanity insects. But standing in his destroyed laboratory, watching this bold man in a discount hero costume casually dismantle technology that had taken years to perfect, Lex felt something he'd trained himself to suppress, the animal understanding that he was completely, utterly powerless. "You're shaking," Saitama observed, genuinely confused. "Are you cold? It's pretty warm in here." Lex's hands were trembling. He forced them still through sheer willpower. "You just destroyed a weapon system worth $400 million. You were going to use it on me," Saitama said reasonably. "That seemed like a bad idea for both of us. Mostly you." "Mostly?" Lex's laugh came out strangled. "You're threatening me." "No, I'm being practical." Saitama sat down on a lab table, which creaked under his apparently normal weight. "Look, I get it. New guy shows up, he's really strong, you don't know what he wants. That's scary. But trying to hurt me to figure out if you can hurt me, that's just going to make me think you're a bad guy. And what do you do to bad guys?" Saitama's expression didn't change, but something in the room's atmosphere shifted. "Usually, one punch, but I try to warn them first. It's the hero thing to do." The Batwing crashed through the already shattered window, Batman emerging in a swirl of cape and smoke pellets. He assessed the situation instantly. Luthor backed against his desk, scientists cowering, Saitama sitting peacefully surrounded by millions in destroyed equipment. "Stand down," Batman commanded, though whether he was talking to Lex or Saitama wasn't clear. "Batman," Lex's composure cracked slightly. "This thing just... I saw." Batman's white lenses fixed on Saitama. "And I saw you activate a neural disruptor meant to incapacitate him. What did you expect would happen, Lex?" Superman arrived next, floating through the window. His X-ray vision scanned for injuries, threats, kryptonite exposure. He found Luthor unharmed, Saitama relaxed, and enough crushed kryptonite in that metal sphere to have killed Clark 6 times over. "Lex," Superman said, his voice carrying disappointment that hit harder than any punch. "Tell me you didn't try to weaponize kryptonite against him. He's an unquantifiable threat. He saved 300 people from parademons." Clark's eyes flashed red for just a moment. "He's been nothing but cooperative, and your response is to attack him." "I didn't attack," Lex said, his courtroom composure returning. "I established parameters, tested boundaries. Someone had to. By threatening him with brain damage." Batman's voice could freeze nitrogen. "That's not science, Lex. That's spite." Saitama raised his hand like a student in class. Can I say something?" Everyone turned to him. "I'm not mad," Saitama said. "I mean, I'm used to this. In my world, lots of people thought I was dangerous. The Hero Association kept trying to test me. Civilians complained about property damage. Other heroes thought I was showing off." He looked at his gloved hands. "When you're really strong, people get scared. I get it." "That's remarkably understanding," Superman said carefully. Yeah, well, being mad takes energy. And honestly, Saitama's exhausted eyes met theirs. I'm just tired of people treating me like I'm going to snap. I've been the strongest person in my world for 3 years. You know how many times I've snapped? 0, because that's not who I am. Lex straightened his suit, his tactical mind already processing. Then what do you want? Power? Money? Control? A good fight, Saitama said immediately. Just one time where I have to actually try, where I'm not sure if I'm going to win, where the other guy gets up after I hit them and I think, oh, this is going to be interesting. His voice carried an ache that transcended physical pain. Do you know what it's like to be so strong that nothing matters anymore? The question hung in the air. Superman's expression softened. He knew something about holding back, about being afraid of your own strength, but he'd never lost the challenge, never reached the point where nothing could push him. In my world, Saitama continued, there was this prophecy. A seer said I'd fight someone who'd give me a real battle. I've been waiting for 3 years. Then I end up here, in a universe full of heroes and villains and gods, and I think maybe this is it. Maybe here I'll find someone who can make me feel like a hero again instead of just a cleanup service. He looked at Superman. But you won't fight me because you need a reason. And Batman's just a human in a suit. I've fought gods, Batman said coldly. Yeah, but you'd die if I punched you, Saitama said matter-of-factly. That's not a fight. That's an accident waiting to happen. The casual assessment of Batman's mortality made Lex almost smile despite the situation. Bruce's jaw tightened, but he couldn't argue with the logic. There has to be someone, Saitama said, and the hope in his voice was painful to hear. Someone in this universe who can give me what I'm looking for. And if there isn't? Lex asked. What then? You just stay here, bored and frustrated, getting progressively more unstable. I'm not unstable. Not yet, Lex interrupted. But existential despair is progressive, Saitama. I've studied enough enhanced individuals to know power without purpose leads to nihilism. Nihilism leads to apathy, and apathy in someone who can destroy planets is a doomsday scenario waiting to happen. Lex, Clark warned. He's not wrong, Saitama said quietly. Back home, I stopped caring about a lot of things. Stopped caring about hero rankings. Stopped caring about public opinion. Started missing grocery sales because I couldn't be bothered to check the schedule. He looked at them. I became a hero to save people. But when saving people becomes as easy as breathing, it stops feeling like it matters. Batman's analytical mind was already processing the implications. A being of infinite power experiencing clinical depression. The psychological profile alone was terrifying. Then we find your purpose, Superman said firmly. Not through fighting, through helping. You saved people from parademons. That mattered. Did it? Saitama's eyes were hollow. I didn't even try, they just stopped existing. Where's the heroism in that? Heroism isn't about the struggle, Clark said. It's about the choice. You chose to help because there was nothing else to do. The words hit like a physical blow. Here was someone with godlike power admitting he saved lives out of boredom. Not malice, just the absence of anything better to occupy his time. This is worse than I thought, Batman muttered. Oh, it gets better, Lex said, pulling up holographic psychological profiles. I've been analyzing his behavior patterns. The flat effect, the inability to feel excitement or fear, The way he describes catastrophic battles like grocery shopping. Saitama isn't just bored. He's experiencing severe anhedonia. Nothing stimulates his reward centers anymore. "You're profiling me?" Saitama asked. "Someone has to." Lex turned the holograms to face him. "You're clinically depressed, Saitama. Have been for years, I'd wager. And the cause is your power itself. You've become so strong that you've lost the capacity for emotional engagement." Saitama stared at the psychological breakdown. Is that why food stopped tasting as good? Among other symptoms, yes. Superman looked horrified. "Lex, you can't diagnose someone based on. He just admitted his food doesn't taste right, Clark. That's a classic depression symptom, combined with his flat affect, anhedonia, and suicidal ideation." "I'm not suicidal," Saitama protested. "You walked into an airlock without checking if you could breathe in space. You let Doomsday charge you without attempting evasion. You're not actively suicidal, but you're exhibiting zero self-preservation instinct because some part of you hopes something might actually hurt you." The laboratory was silent. "That's..." Saitama started, then stopped. "That's a really depressing way to describe it." "But accurate?" Batman pressed. Saitama didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was small. "Maybe. I don't know. I stopped thinking about it because thinking about it made it worse." Clark stepped forward, his hand extended. "Then let us help. Not as scientists studying a specimen, as friends helping someone who's struggling." "Friends?" Saitama looked at the hand like it was alien technology. "We just met, and I destroyed his stuff." He gestured at Lex. "He was trying to brain fry you," Superman said. "I think you showed remarkable restraint." "I should have you arrested," Lex said, but his heart wasn't in it. His scientific mind was too busy processing the implications. A being of infinite power suffering from depression caused by that very power. It was simultaneously the most fascinating and most dangerous psychological profile he'd ever encountered. "You could try," Saitama said, "but I'd probably just walk through the jail walls by accident. I'm not great with delicate stuff." Batman's communicator chirped. "Batman, this is Watchtower. We're detecting massive energy signatures approaching Earth. Multiple boom tubes opening." Cyborg's voice crackled with alarm. "Bruce, it's Darkseid's flagship. He's coming personally." Every hero in the room tensed. "How many ships?" Batman demanded. "Just one, but it's broadcasting on all frequencies. He's asking to speak with Saitama." Saitama perked up slightly. "Is Darkseid strong?" "He's a god," Superman said grimly. "The god of tyranny. He once fought the entire Justice League and won. And he wants to talk to me?" For the first time since arriving in this universe, Saitama's eyes showed something other than exhaustion. Interest. "Does he fight, or just talk?" "Both," Batman said. "And if he's coming personally, it means he sees you as either a threat or an opportunity." "Or a challenge," Lex added, his mind racing. "Darkseid's ego is cosmic scale. If he's heard about someone who one-punched Doomsday, he'll want to prove his superiority." Saitama stood up. "So he might actually fight me." "Saitama," Clark said urgently. "Darkseid isn't like the monsters you've faced. He's not just strong. He's strategic, ruthless, and his Omega beams can erase you from existence itself." "Has anyone survived them?" "I have. Barely." "Cool." Saitama headed toward the broken window. "Where's he landing?" You can't seriously be excited about this, Lex said. Saitama paused at the window's edge, and for the first time since arriving in the DC universe, he smiled. Not a big smile, just a small upturn of his lips, but it was genuine. Someone who can erase people from existence wants to fight me. That's the best news I've heard in 3 years. Then he jumped, leaving a Saitama-shaped hole in LexCorp Tower's floor. The 3 men stood in the destroyed laboratory, listening to car alarms trigger across Metropolis as Saitama's trajectory took him toward Darkseid's approaching ship. "We need to evacuate the city," Batman said. "We need to evacuate the eastern seaboard," Lex corrected. Superman just stared at the hole in the floor. "I think we need to pray." The sky over Metropolis tore open with fire and the sound of worlds dying. Apocalypse had come to Earth before, raids, invasions, the occasional scouting mission, but never like this. Darkseid's flagship, a monument to tyranny the size of a city block, descended through clouds that burned at its passage. Its hull was scarred with the deaths of 1,000 civilizations, each mark a world that had knelt or been destroyed. On the streets below, people ran. They'd learned. When the sky opened and fire rained down, you didn't stand and watch. You ran and prayed the Justice League arrived in time. But today, something else arrived first. Saitama landed on the flagship's hull with enough force to dent the alien metal. He stood there, cape fluttering in the superheated air, looking around like a tourist trying to find the information desk. "Hello," he called out. "Is Darkseid here? Someone said he wanted to talk to me." The hull beneath him rippled. Parademons erupted from hidden ports, hundreds of them, their wings blotting out the sun, their screams promising death and worse. They swarmed Saitama in a living wave of claws and teeth and mindless hunger. Saitama sighed and started swatting. Each casual slap sent a dozen parademons tumbling from the sky, their engineered bodies simply shutting down from the impact. He wasn't even making fists, just open-handed swats, the way someone might shoo away persistent mosquitoes. Within 30 seconds, 200 parademons were raining down on Metropolis like a very disturbing hailstorm. "This is boring," Saitama announced to no one in particular. "Where's the boss guy?" The flagship's main hangar opened. Darkseid emerged. He stood 15 feet tall, his gray stone skin carved with the history of conquered worlds. His eyes glowed red with the Omega effect, the fundamental force of entropy made manifest. He wore no armor because his body was armor. He carried no weapon because his fists had shattered planets. When he spoke, reality itself seemed to lean in and listen. "You are the anomaly." Darkseid's voice rolled across the sky like thunder. "The being who exists outside the source. I am Darkseid. I am the inevitable end of all free will. And you interest me." Saitama looked up at the tyrant god. "Are you strong?" "I am strength incarnate." "Cool." Saitama cracked his knuckles. "Want to fight?" Darkseid's eyes narrowed. "You face a new god with the casualness of greeting an equal. Either you are supremely confident or supremely foolish." "Probably both," Saitama admitted. "So, is that a yes?" The Justice League arrived in a blur of colors and powers. Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, and Batman in the Batwing, all converging on the flagship. They'd fought Darkseid before, knew the cost, had the scars to prove it, but they'd never seen him simply talking to someone. Standing there, studying an opponent instead of immediately attacking. "Saitama, get back!" Superman shouted, flying toward the flagship. Darkseid's hand moved. The Omega effect lanced out, twin beams of red annihilation that had erased Superman from existence once before, that bent through dimensions and followed targets across time itself. The beams curved through the air, locked onto Saitama, and struck him directly in the chest. The Justice League froze. Saitama looked down at his smoking suit. Oh man, this was my favorite costume. The Omega beams fizzled out against his skin like sparklers hitting concrete. Darkseid's expression shifted, the first time in millennia anyone had seen surprise on the tyrant god's face. Impossible. The Omega effect is entropy itself. It unmakes existence at the quantum level. Yeah, but I'm pretty durable. Saitama brushed at the scorch marks on his yellow suit. Do you have anything stronger? Because I've been looking for someone who can actually hurt me. You dare. Saitama jumped. The flagship buckled. He'd launched himself upward with enough force to crack the alien metal, closing the distance to Darkseid in a fraction of a second. His fist, traveling at a speed that made Flash's velocity look pedestrian, caught Darkseid in the jaw. The new god flew backward through his own ship, through 3 decks, through the engine core, out the opposite side of the flagship entirely. He tumbled through the air like a discarded toy, his invincible body, the body that had weathered attacks from Kryptonian heat vision, Amazon god weapons, and Green Lantern constructs powered by the entire core, actually bleeding from the mouth. Darkseid stopped himself mid-air, his Omega effect flaring around him like wings of annihilation. For the first time in his eternal existence, he felt something he'd inflicted on countless others. Pain. Acceptable, Darkseid said, wiping blue ichor from his lip. You have earned my attention. He teleported, a boom tube opening and closing in an instant, and reappeared behind Saitama, his fist, moving with the speed and power that had cracked planets, slammed into Saitama's head hard enough to create a shockwave that shattered windows for 3 miles. Saitama's head moved approximately 1 inch. Oh, Saitama said, his eyes widening. I felt that. Darkseid struck again and again. Each blow carried the force of continental destruction. Each impact generated thunder that made the watchtower's instruments scream. The flagship groaned beneath them, its structure failing under the sheer kinetic energy being unleashed. Saitama took every hit with an expression of growing excitement. This is it, he breathed. This is what I've been waiting for. He threw a punch. Not a serious punch. Not even a consecutive normal punch. Just a single, genuine attempt to hit back. Darkseid caught it. The shockwave exploded outward in a perfect sphere, a wall of compressed air that sent the entire Justice League tumbling backward. The flagship disintegrated, just came apart like tissue paper in a hurricane. Debris rained down on Metropolis, each piece intercepted by Green Lantern constructs that strained under the weight. The 2 beings floated in the sky, fist against palm, locked in a contest of pure strength. Finally, Darkseid said, and for the first time in eons, he smiled. A worthy opponent. Yeah, Saitama agreed, grinning wider than he had in years. Yeah. They separated and clashed again. The sky lit up with the impact, a flash of light visible from space, a thunderclap that rattled satellites. They moved too fast for normal vision to track. Their battle carried across Metropolis's skyline in bursts of impossible violence. Darkseid fired Omega beams continuously. Saitama dodged some, tanked others, his suit smoking but his body unmarred. He countered with a consecutive normal punches, a rapid-fire barrage that drove Darkseid backward through the air, each impact creating sonic booms. Wonder Woman watched, her hand on her sword. By Hera, they're destroying the city just by fighting. Evacuate everyone, Batman commanded through the comms. Flash, prioritize children and elderly. Green Lantern, contain falling debris. Superman, on it. Clark flew into the battle zone, not to fight, but to catch a falling building. Saitama and Darkseid's clash had destabilized the structure. He braced it, his muscles straining, watching the battle unfold above him. Darkseid was actually trying. The new god who'd treated their previous battles like chess against children was now fighting with genuine effort. His Omega effect blazed constantly, reality warping around him as he threw everything he had at this bold human in a discount hero costume. And Saitama was laughing. "This is great." Saitama blocked a punch that would have destroyed a moon. "You're actually making me work for it." "You dishonor combat with your enthusiasm," Darkseid growled, but there was something in his voice. Respect. No, recognition. He'd found something he'd never expected to find. An equal. "Serious punch," Saitama announced. Darkseid's eyes widened. He'd seen this being's casual strikes. If this was a serious attempt, the fist connected. Darkseid shot backward like a meteor, his body tearing through the atmosphere, leaving a trail of fire across the sky. He crashed into the ocean 30 miles offshore, the impact generating a tsunami that Flash had to outrun to dissipate. Saitama floated there, breathing slightly harder than normal. Did I win? A boom tube opened beneath the ocean. Darkseid rose from the water, his stone skin cracked in places, blue ichor leaking from multiple wounds. His expression was thunderous, but beneath the rage was something else. Exhilaration. "You have given me something I have not experienced in millennia, human. A challenge." Darkseid's Omega effect intensified, reality itself bending around him. "For that, I will show you the full power of Apocalypse." "Awesome." Saitama got into a fighting stance. "Round 2. "Saitama, wait," Superman started. Too late. Darkseid's eyes blazed, and the Omega effect erupted not in beams but in a wave, a sphere of entropy that expanded outward, erasing matter at the quantum level. It was the attack that had once threatened to unmake an entire planet, the attack he reserved for threats to his very existence. Saitama punched it. His fist hit the expanding entropy field and just stopped it. The Omega effect flickered, wavered, and dissipated against his knuckles like smoke against stone. "Impossible," Darkseid whispered. "You keep saying that," Saitama noted, "but I keep doing stuff anyway." The new god's tactical mind, honed over millennia of conquest, rapidly processed the situation. This being couldn't be beaten, couldn't be intimidated, couldn't be erased from existence. But perhaps he could be directed. "Saitama," Darkseid said, and his voice shifted from rage to calculation. "I came seeking the anomaly that threatens universal order. Instead, I found a warrior without purpose. Tell me, what do you truly want?" "A good fight, which you're giving me." Saitama smiled. "This is the best day I've had in years." "And when our battle concludes, what then? You return to your existence of empty victories and hollow heroism?" Darkseid floated closer, his wounds already healing through sheer force of will. "I offer you something greater. Join me." Together, we could reshape the multiverse, give you the challenges you crave on a cosmic scale. The Justice League tensed. "He's recruiting him," Batman said, horror in his voice. "Darkseid is trying to recruit him." "Would he?" Flash started. "Yes," Batman and Superman said simultaneously. Because Saitama wasn't motivated by justice or righteousness or protecting the innocent. He was motivated by the desperate hope of feeling something again. And Darkseid had just offered him an eternity of battles. Saitama considered the offer, his fist still raised, his expression thoughtful. "That sounds," he began. The world held its breath. "Too boring," Saitama finished. Darkseid's confident expression flickered. "Boring? Yeah, I mean, you're strong. Strongest person I've fought in forever, but conquering universes together." Saitama scratched his head. "That's just beating up a bunch of people who can't fight back. Where's the challenge in that?" "The challenge lies in reshaping reality itself. But you'd be helping me. That's basically teamwork, right?" Saitama's disappointed look returned. "If we team up, then we can't fight each other anymore. And fighting you is the most fun I've had in years." The Lord of Apocalypse stared at this bold human who just rejected godhood because it would interfere with their current fight. In all his eons of existence, across countless conquered worlds and broken civilizations, Darkseid had never encountered logic quite this pure, or quite this insane. "You would refuse cosmic power to preserve our combat." Well, yeah. Saitama said it like it was obvious. "If I join you, eventually we run out of people to fight, and then what? We just stand around being bored together. At least now I get to fight you." Superman caught Batman's eye. Bruce's expression said what Clark was thinking. Is he actually turning down Darkseid with the logic of a martial arts enthusiast? Darkseid's tactical mind recalculated. Direct recruitment, failed. Intimidation, impossible. Destruction, unlikely. That left one option he rarely employed because it required something distasteful. Honesty. "Very well," Darkseid said slowly. "Then I propose an alternative. A contest. You and I, one decisive battle. No interruptions, no limitations. Fought at full strength. If I win, you submit to my will. If you win..." He paused, his pride warring with pragmatism. "I will withdraw from Earth and acknowledge you as the superior warrior." Darkseid, no. Superman flew closer. "Don't make deals with him. He's the god of tyranny. I'm talking to Saitama, Kryptonian, not you." Darkseid's eyes never left the bald hero. "What say you, Anomaly? One true battle, no holds barred." Saitama's eyes lit up. "Serious fight? Both of us going all out?" "All out," Darkseid confirmed. "But if you lose, you have to leave Earth alone forever." "You have my word as a new god." "Darkseid's word means nothing," Wonder Woman shouted, her lasso glowing. "He's lied to break treaties before." "Not to a warrior of equal standing," Darkseid interrupted coldly. "I have broken promises to lesser beings because they were lesser. But this one," he gestured to Saitama, "this one has earned the respect due to a peer. My word to him is binding." The Justice League exchanged worried glances. Darkseid had never called anyone a peer before. The fact that he was doing so now meant he recognized something in Saitama that terrified even them. "Okay," Saitama agreed immediately. "Let's do it." "Saitama, wait," Clark started. "Not here," Darkseid said, opening a boom tube. "This battle will shatter your planet. We fight in the Phantom Zone, a prison dimension where our combat cannot harm the innocent. The Phantom Zone is Kryptonian territory, Superman protested. You can't just... Can't he? Batman's voice was grim. He's already there. Sure enough, Saitama had walked into the boom tube without hesitation, his cape disappearing into the red and black portal. Darkseid followed, his massive form silhouetted against the dimensional gateway. Before the portal closed, Darkseid looked back at Superman. Pray your anomaly wins, Kryptonian. Because if I return victorious, I return with a weapon that makes the anti-life equation look like a child's toy. The boom tube collapsed. Silence fell over the devastated metropolis skyline. Buildings smoldered, streets were cratered, debris lay everywhere. And somewhere in the Phantom Zone, two beings of impossible power were about to determine Earth's fate. We have to stop this, Flash said. How? Green Lantern gestured helplessly at the sky. They're in the Phantom Zone. We can't even get there without Kryptonian technology. The fortress, Superman said, already moving. I can open a portal, but we need to go now. And do what? Batman's question stopped them cold. We couldn't stop them in Metropolis. What makes you think we can stop them in the Phantom Zone? So we do nothing. Diana's hand tightened on her sword. Let them fight while Earth's fate hangs in the balance. We observe, Bruce said coldly. We record, and if Saitama loses, which I estimate at 30% probability, we implement Contingency Omega. You have a contingency for Darkseid controlling Saitama? Cyborg asked incredulously. I'm developing one now. I'll need 17 minutes. Batman was already typing on his wrist computer. Cyborg, access all available data on dimensional physics. If Saitama loses, we need to trap them both in the Phantom Zone permanently. Bruce, that's genocide, Clark said quietly. That's survival. If Darkseid gains control of something that can no-cell Omega beams and punch new gods into the ocean, the universe ends. Not metaphorically, actually ends. No one argued. They'd all seen what Saitama could do. The casual annihilation, the bored omnipotence. Now imagine that power directed by Darkseid's strategic genius and cruelty. To the fortress, Superman said, we watch. We wait, and we hope. The Phantom Zone was exactly what its name suggested, a zone of phantoms. A prison dimension where Krypton's worst criminals floated in timeless torment, unable to interact with reality, yet forced to observe it forever. Here, normal physics became suggestions. Matter existed in states that made quantum physicists weep. And here, two warriors faced each other with no world to break beneath them. Darkseid floated in the crystalline void, his Omega effect blazing like twin suns. Around him, the imprisoned Kryptonian criminals watched from their frozen prisons, their eyes wide with terror and fascination. Saitama cracked his neck. So, full power. No restraint, no mercy, no hesitation. Darkseid's voice echoed through the dimension. I will show you why civilizations kneel before me, why gods fear to speak my name, why entropy itself bends to my will. Cool speech, Saitama said, getting into stance. I'm just gonna punch really hard. They moved. The Phantom Zone shattered, not metaphorically, but literally. The dimensional barriers cracked as Darkseid's fist met Saitama's in a collision that bent space-time. The Kryptonian criminals screamed silently as reality warped around the combatants. Darkseid unleashed the Omega effect at full strength, not beams, but a continuous stream of entropy that erased matter at the quantum level. It hit Saitama like a river of annihilation. Saitama walked through it. Consecutive serious punches. He unleashed a barrage that would have turned a galaxy into dust. Each punch broke the sound barrier, would have broken it if the Phantom Zone had sound to begin with. They hit Darkseid in a drumbeat of impossible violence. The new god's stone skin cracked. His blood, the blue ichor of Apocalypse, spilled into the void. But he didn't fall. Couldn't fall. His pride wouldn't allow it. "Omega Sanction!" Darkseid roared, and the Phantom Zone itself became a weapon. Reality loops formed around Saitama, infinite prisons of entropy designed to trap him in progressively worse existences until his soul broke. Saitama punched through dimensions. Each reality loop shattered like glass. He emerged from impossible prisons, from universes where he'd lived 1,000 horrible lives, from timelines where he'd lost everything. And he kept walking forward, fist raised, expression determined. "I've been bored for 3 years," Saitama said quietly. "You think your worst nightmare dimension is worse than that?" Darkseid realized, in that moment, what he was facing. Not a warrior, not a hero, not even a god. An existence that had transcended the concept of limitation through sheer, stupid persistence. Serious series, serious punch. Saitama's fist caught Darkseid in the center of his chest. The new god flew backward through the Phantom Zone, through the dimensional barriers, through the walls between realities. He tumbled through spaces where physics wept and mathematics gave up. When he finally stopped, floating in the crystalline void, his armor shattered and his body broken, Darkseid looked at Saitama with something he'd never felt before. Respect. "You have won," he said simply. Saitama lowered his fist, breathing slightly harder. "That was awesome. You okay?" "I am defeated. My wounds will heal. My pride..." Darkseid actually smiled, a genuine expression, not the cruel smirk of a tyrant. "My pride has found something worth more than conquest. A true challenge. So you'll leave Earth alone. I gave my word." Darkseid opened a boom tube, his broken body already beginning to regenerate. "But know this, Saitama. I will return, not to conquer your world, but to fight you again. When I have healed, when I have grown stronger, I will seek you out for a rematch." Saitama's face broke into the biggest smile he'd had in years. "Really? You mean it? A new god does not lie to his equal. We will fight again." "That's the best thing anyone's ever said to me." Darkseid paused at the portal's edge. "You are the strangest warrior I have ever encountered. You have power beyond gods, yet you desire nothing but combat. You could rule universes, yet you seek only worthy opponents. Tell me, why?" Saitama's smile faded to something more melancholic. "Because fighting is the only time I feel alive anymore. And you made me feel more alive than I have in 3 years." The Lord of Apocalypse understood. In his own way, he'd been searching for the same thing across countless conquests. Not victory, he always won, but meaning. "Then we are more alike than I thought," Darkseid said quietly. "Until our rematch, Anomaly." The boom tube closed. Saitama floated alone in the Phantom Zone, his suit torn, his cape shredded, his body unmarked. And for the first time in 3 years, he felt something other than boredom. Hope. Gotham City existed in permanent twilight, a place where even noon felt like dusk. The industrial district, where rusted factories stood as monuments to economic collapse, was darker still. Ace Chemicals' plant rose from the smog like a cathedral of poison, its towers belching green smoke that turned the air into something thick and wrong. Inside, the Joker danced. 1 batch, 2 batch, penny and dime. His sing-song voice echoed through the chemical vats as his henchmen loaded canisters of Smilex toxin into delivery drones. Who cares if a city laughs itself to death? Not me, not me, not me. He spun, his purple coat flaring, his painted face split in a grin that had haunted Gotham for decades. A henchman approached nervously. "Boss, we got a problem. Batman's coming. He's fighting through the talons the court sent to slow him down. But nothing." Joker grabbed the man by his collar, pulling him close. "Batsy always comes. That's the game. I do something terrible. He shows up all broody and violent. We dance. I go to Arkham. I escape. We do it again. It's tradition." He released the henchman and skipped toward the control panel. "Now let's see. If I release the toxin now, I get about 700 casualties before Batsy stops me. But if I wait for him to arrive and then release it, I get to watch his face when he realizes he was too slow to save everyone. That's messed up, boss. That's the point." Joker hit the release button. Nothing happened. He hit it again. Then again, his smile faltering. "What the—" The roof exploded inward. Not Batman descending on a grappling line. Not a careful tactical entry. Just a man in a yellow suit falling straight through industrial steel like it was tissue paper, landing in a crouch that cratered the concrete floor. Saitama stood up, brushing debris from his torn cape. "Are you the Joker guy?" The chemical plant fell silent except for dripping toxins and humming machinery. Joker's henchmen stared at this bold interloper who'd just come through solid steel like it was air. The clown prince himself tilted his head, his manic grin frozen in genuine confusion. "I don't know you." Joker said it like a personal offense. "I know every cape in this city, every mask, every self-righteous do-gooder who thinks they can fix Gotham. But you?" He gestured at Saitama's ridiculous costume. "You're not even trying to look intimidating. What are you, Halloween clearance?" "I'm Saitama. I'm here to stop you from killing people with that gas stuff." "Oh, how original." Joker clapped slowly. "Another hero coming to save the day. Tell me, Mr. Saitama, what makes you think you can succeed where Batman fails? What's your gimmick? Super strength, magic powers, tragic backstory?" "I'm just really strong," Saitama said honestly. "Also, I was told not to punch you too hard because you're fragile." Joker's eye twitched. "Fragile? Did you just call me—" He grabbed a gun from his coat and fired 6 times at point-blank range. The bullets bounced off Saitama's face, not deflected, not dodged, just bounced, falling to the floor with tinkling sounds like dropped coins. Saitama didn't even blink. "Huh," Saitama said. That tickled. The Joker stared at his empty gun, at the bullets on the floor, at this impossible being who just face-tanked a magazine without flinching. And then, slowly, building from his chest, he started to laugh. Not his theatrical laugh, not his manic cackle. This was genuine, delighted laughter. "Oh, this is perfect." Joker threw the gun aside. "All this time, Batman brings gadgets and martial arts and detective work. And you just show up and be unkillable. It's so simple, it's stupid. I love it." "So you'll stop trying to poison people?" Saitama asked hopefully. "Absolutely not." Joker hit another button. The chemical vats began to hiss, pressure building. See, the thing about toxins is they don't care how strong you are. They care about biology. And unless you're secretly a robot, he paused. You're not a robot, are you? Nope. Just a guy who trained really hard. Wonderful. The vats exploded, green gas flooding the warehouse. Joker pulled on a gas mask while his henchmen scrambled for their own. Let's see how your training handles weaponized Smilex. It's a paralytic that attacks the nervous system, forcing your facial muscles into a permanent smile while you suffocate on your own laughter. I call it the Die Happy Special. The gas engulfed Saitama completely. Joker watched, his smile hidden behind the mask, waiting for the inevitable collapse. Waiting for this strange, bald man to drop to his knees, laughing uncontrollably as his lungs filled with poison. Saitama waved his hand, dispersing some of the gas. This stuff smells weird. What? Joker's voice cracked. It should be dissolving your mucous membranes, paralyzing your diaphragm, making you laugh until your heart gives out. I mean, it tickles a little bit. Saitama sniffed experimentally. But I've been through worse. This one time, this mosquito villain unleashed a swarm that had absorbed blood from really strong monsters. That was annoying. The Joker's worldview, carefully constructed over decades of chemical expertise and murder, shattered like glass. You're breathing it. You're just standing in my masterpiece toxin and you're fine. His voice rose to a shriek. Do you have any idea how long it took to perfect that formula? The test subjects, the calculations, the failed batches that only gave people mild nausea. Sorry, Saitama said, genuinely apologetic. I'm pretty durable. Most poisons don't really work on me. Joker stood there, his shoulders shaking. Then he ripped off his gas mask, revealing a face twisted in fury. Fine, fine. You want to do this the boring way? Boys. His henchmen opened fire. Automatic weapons, shotguns, even a rocket launcher that one optimistic goon had apparently been saving for a special occasion. The warehouse lit up with muzzle flashes and explosions. Saitama stood in the center of it, bullets ricocheting off his body, explosions washing over him harmlessly. When the smoke cleared and the weapons clicked empty, he looked at Joker with something like pity. Are you done? No. Joker grabbed a massive lever. I'm never done. If I can't kill you with toxins, if I can't kill you with bullets, then I'll kill you with gravity. He yanked the lever. The chemical vats above them released their contents. Tons of toxic sludge that had created the Joker himself all those years ago. It fell like a green waterfall. Enough industrial poison to dissolve a human body in seconds. Saitama looked up at the falling chemicals. Oh. Batman said to minimize property damage. He jumped. Not high, just a small hop. Barely left the ground. But the air displacement from that tiny jump generated an upward wind current that caught the falling chemicals and blew them back into the vats. Every drop reversed course, flowing upward against gravity, returning to containment. The warehouse fell silent. Joker's voice was barely a whisper. That's not possible. You violated thermodynamics, conservation of energy, basic physics. I jump pretty good, Saitama explained. The clown prince of crime sat down on the floor, his legs giving out. For the first time in decades, perhaps for the first time ever. Joker looked tired. Not manic. Not plotting. Just exhausted. You've ruined it, he said quietly. The whole game. Batman and I, we dance because we're matched. He's got his gadgets and training, I've got my chaos and chemistry. But you? He looked up at Saitama with hollow eyes. You just are. There's no counter-strategy, no clever plan. You're just here, being invincible, making all my life's work meaningless. Saitama sat down next to him, cross-legged. Yeah, I get that a lot. They sat in silence, surrounded by terrified henchmen who didn't know whether to run or surrender. Finally, Joker spoke again. Do you know what it's like to spend your whole existence perfecting your craft, only to meet someone who makes it all irrelevant? Yeah, Saitama said softly. That's basically my life. I trained so hard I broke my limits. Now nothing matters because nothing can challenge me. Joker turned to look at him. Really look at him. And saw something he'd never expected to see in another person's eyes, the same existential emptiness he'd been running from his entire life. We're both jokes, Joker said. Punchlines looking for a setup that'll never come. I guess. Saitama stood up, dusting off his suit. But I still stop bad guys. Because if I don't, who will? Batman, the Justice League. Gotham's got plenty of heroes. Yeah, but they're busy, and you were about to kill a bunch of people. Saitama offered his hand. So come on, you're going back to jail. Joker stared at the offered hand. What if I say no? Then I'll carry you there. Batman said you survive. He wants you in Arkham. So that's where you're going. The simple certainty in Saitama's voice was more terrifying than any threat. Joker took the hand, letting the strange, bald hero pull him to his feet. You're the worst kind of hero, Joker muttered. No drama, no moral struggle, just effectiveness. Thanks, Saitama said, missing the insult entirely. Batman crashed through the window moments later, cape billowing, ready for combat. He found Saitama standing with Joker's hand in his grip, the clown prince looking more defeated than Bruce had ever seen him. The henchmen were lined up against the wall, hands behind their heads, apparently having surrendered without a fight. I contained the toxin, Saitama reported. Didn't punch anyone. Well, didn't punch him. He gestured at Joker. The roof kind of got punched, but that was an accident. Bruce looked at the Joker, his greatest enemy, the monster who'd crippled Barbara Gordon, killed Jason Todd, tortured Gordon's family, standing there with his shoulders slumped, looking almost melancholy. What did you do to him? Batman asked quietly. Nothing. We just talked. Saitama tilted his head. He seemed sad. Is he always sad under the crazy stuff? Bruce considered that. Considered decades of psychiatric evaluations, Arkham sessions, the endless cycle of escape and recapture. Yes, he admitted. I think he is. That sucks, Saitama said with genuine sympathy. Joker let out a strangled laugh. Oh, this is too much. The world's most dangerous vigilante and an invincible idiot discussing my mental health. What's next, group therapy? Arkham has excellent therapists, Batman said, already pulling out restraints. Arkham has walls I can walk out of. Joker's manic energy was returning. I'll be back on the streets in a month, Batsy, and when I am, maybe I'll have figured out how to make this one actually feel something. Good luck with that, Saitama said cheerfully. Most poisons don't work on me. As Batman secured Joker and called for GCPD backup, Cyborg's voice crackled through Saitama's communicator. Great work in Gotham. Next target, Central City. Captain Cole just breached the Federal Reserve. Flash needs backup. Saitama looked at Batman. I should go help Flash Guy. Go. Bruce's voice was gruff. And Saitama? Thank you. You saved 700 lives tonight. Just doing hero stuff, Saitama said, then jumped through the hole in the roof, leaving behind a wake of displaced air and one very confused clown prince. Joker watched him go, then turned to Batman with an expression caught between admiration and horror. "Batsy," he said quietly, "I think Gotham just got a lot less fun." For once, Batman smiled. Central City gleamed under winter sunlight, a metropolis of chrome and glass that prided itself on being the opposite of Gotham. Where Gotham wallowed in shadows, Central City embraced light. Where Gotham bred monsters, Central City bred rogues, criminals with style, flair, and a peculiar code of honor. The rogues were robbing the Federal Reserve with the precision of a Swiss watch. Captain Cold stood in the vault, his cold gun humming as it froze the reinforced steel door solid. Beside him, Heatwave's flames cut through the ice, creating a perfect entry point. Mirror Master emerged from a reflective surface with bags of cash. Weather Wizard manipulated air currents to carry money out through the skylight. Trickster juggled explosive yo-yos while keeping hostages calm with dad jokes. 70 million and counting, Cold announced, his breath misting in the sub-zero temperature he'd created. Mirror Master, status on the Flash. Delayed, Mirror Master reported, adjusting his sunglasses. He's handling a 3-car pileup on the interstate. Should buy us another 5 minutes. Then we work fast and clean, Cold said firmly. No casualties. No unnecessary violence. We take what we came for and... The wall exploded inward. Not the door. Not the window. The solid concrete wall simply ceased to exist as Saitama came through it at terminal velocity, having misjudged his landing trajectory by approximately 30 feet and 2 walls. He stood in the rubble, blinking. Oops, wrong room. The rogues stared at this bald man in a tattered yellow costume who just Kool-Aid manned through federal architecture. Captain Cold's tactical mind processed the threat. Unknown meta, extreme strength, probable speedster backup. New hero? Cold asked, his gun never wavering. Flash send you? Yeah, he said you were robbing a place. Saitama looked around the vault. Is this the place? Federal Reserve genius, Heatwave growled, his flames intensifying. And you just made a really big mistake. Have I? Saitama looked genuinely concerned. I'm supposed to minimize property damage. Does the wall count? Because I didn't mean to hit the wall. I was aiming for the door. Weather Wizard laughed. He's serious. He actually thinks... Leonard, this guy's an idiot. Idiots can be dangerous, Cold said carefully. He'd survived in Central City by knowing when to fight and when to run. This newcomer radiated the kind of raw power that made his instincts scream, "Run." Look, friend, we don't want trouble. We're just here for money. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's going to get hurt. Why don't you let us finish our withdrawal, and we'll all go our separate ways? But you're stealing, Saitama pointed out. Technically, we're liberating federal funds from an institution that profits off citizen debt. Trickster chimed in. It's basically a public service. That sounds like stealing with extra steps. Mirror Master sighed and opened a mirror portal. Cold, we're leaving. This guy's either stupid or crazy strong, and I'm not waiting to find out which. Smart move, Cold agreed, backing toward the portal. Boys, grab what you could carry and... Saitama moved, not fast by his standards. He was trying to be gentle, trying not to break things more than he already had. But to the rogues, it was like reality skipped a frame. One moment Saitama was across the vault. The next, he was standing between them and the mirror portal, his hand resting casually on Mirror Master's shoulder. "Sorry," Saitama said. "But Batman said to stop the bad guys. You're the bad guys, right?" Mirror Master tried to phase into the mirror dimension. Found he couldn't. Saitama's grip somehow existed in both dimensions simultaneously, anchoring him to reality. "What are you?" Mirror Master whispered. Weather Wizard didn't wait for answers. He summoned a localized tornado, wind speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, designed to tear steel from buildings. It engulfed Saitama completely. Saitama's cape fluttered slightly. "Guys," he said over the roaring wind, "this is just making more property damage. Can we stop?" Heatwave opened fire, his flames hot enough to melt tungsten. Captain Cold fired simultaneously, creating a thermal shock that should have torn Saitama's body apart at the molecular level. Extreme heat meeting extreme cold with a human in between. The temperature flux destroyed $3 million in cash. Saitama remained unharmed. "Okay, that's it." Cold's professional calm cracked. "Rogues, Protocol Omega, scatter and..." Saitama gently tapped each of them on the forehead. Not punches, just taps. Little bops with his index finger, the way someone might boop a puppy's nose. Each rogue dropped instantly, unconscious but unharmed. "There," Saitama said, carefully arranging them in a neat row against the wall. "Now they're stopped." Flash arrived in a blur of red lightning, his eyes wide as he processed the scene. Unconscious rogues, destroyed walls, and Saitama standing in the middle looking apologetic. "Saitama," Flash said carefully, "did you just tap them unconscious?" "Batman said no lethal force and to be gentle. So I was gentle." Saitama gestured at the wall he'd demolished. "Sorry about the walls. I'm still getting used to the whole precision thing." Barry Allen, the Flash, fastest man alive, walked over to examine the rogues. No broken bones, no internal bleeding. They were just unconscious, like someone had hit their off switch with surgical precision. "How hard did you tap them?" "Really softly. I was afraid I'd kill them if I used any real force." Flash pulled out his communicator. "Cyborg, this is Flash. Rogues are contained." Saitama handled it in approximately 15 seconds. "Send CCPD for pickup." He paused. "And maybe a construction crew." "There's about 30 feet of missing wall." "Copy that," Cyborg responded. "You've got 2 more situations developing. Star City, Deathstroke just engaged Green Arrow. Metropolis, Metallo's approaching the LexCorp building with kryptonite enhancement. Superman still at the fortress. Where do you want Saitama?" Before Flash could answer, Captain Cold groaned, consciousness returning. He looked up at Saitama with the expression of a man re-evaluating his life choices. "You could have killed us," Cold said quietly. "Yeah, probably." Saitama helped him sit up. "But you weren't really trying to hurt anyone either, just stealing money. That's bad, but it's not murder bad." Cold studied him. "You're new to this universe, aren't you? I heard rumors. Dimensional breach, unknown meta. Fought Darkseid to a standstill." His eyes narrowed. "You're the one who one-punched Doomsday?" "Guilty," Saitama admitted. "And you're being gentle with us. Small-time crooks?" Cold almost laughed. "Do you have any idea how insulting that is? We're the rogues. We've fought the Flash to a standstill. We've held our own against the Justice League, and you just tapped us unconscious like misbehaving children." I mean, you were misbehaving, Saitama pointed out. Weather Wizard woke up, heard the conversation, and immediately tried to summon lightning. The electrical discharge hit Saitama square in the chest and earthed out through his body, leaving scorch marks on the floor but not a scratch on his skin. Please stop, Saitama said tiredly. I don't want to tap you again. That might give you a concussion. Give us. Weather Wizard's face went purple with rage. That's it. Rogues, full assault. I don't care if he's invincible. We hit him with everything. Mark, stop, Captain Cold commanded. But he just... I said stop. Cold stood, brushing ice crystals from his parka. Look at him. Really look at him. The rogues focused on Saitama, saw the bored exhaustion in his eyes, the way he stood there, unthreatened, simply waiting for them to accept reality. The complete absence of fear or excitement or anything except mild disappointment. He's not even trying, Mirror Master whispered. This is him being gentle. This is him holding back so much that we're not even registering as a threat. Exactly. Cold turned to Saitama. You're going to be a problem for people like us, aren't you? The regular criminals. The ones who operate on a human scale. I don't want to be a problem, Saitama said honestly. I'm just trying to help. That's what makes it worse. Cold holstered his cold gun. No point in keeping it ready. The rogues have rules. We don't kill. We don't hurt innocents. We fight the Flash because it's our job, and he fights us because it's his. We've got a balance. But you, he gestured at the devastation, you show up and the balance is gone. There's no point in planning, no strategy, no challenge. You just exist, and we lose. Saitama's expression fell. Yeah, that's kind of my whole thing. Flash stepped between them. Cold, you're still going to Arkham, or, well, Iron Heights. This is Central City. I know where I'm going, Flash. Cold looked at Saitama one more time. Word of advice from one professional to another. Being that strong is going to make you a lot of enemies. Not because they hate you, but because you make them irrelevant, and irrelevance is scarier than death. I've been irrelevant for 3 years, Saitama said quietly. It's not great. The honesty in his voice made Cold pause. He'd expected arrogance, superiority, the usual metahuman ego. Instead, he found someone who understood exactly what he was talking about from the other side. Then I guess we're both obsolete, Cold said. You because you're too strong, us because we're not strong enough. He offered his hands for restraints. Take us in, Flash. The job's done. Heist failed. We'll be back on the streets in 6 months, and we'll try again, and the cycle continues. Actually, Flash said as he secured the rogues with power-dampening cuffs. With Saitama around, maybe it's time to rethink the cycle. You guys have skills. Snart. Your cold gun technology is revolutionary. Rathaway, your weather manipulation could solve droughts. Scudder, mirror dimension travel has scientific applications. Ever thought about using those skills legally? Where's the fun in that? Trickster asked. Where's the fun in getting one-tapped by a bald guy? Flash countered. The rogues had no answer. CCPD arrived with transport vehicles. As the criminals were loaded up, Captain Cold looked back at Saitama. If you're looking for challenges, you won't find them with people like us. You need to be fighting gods and monsters. Leave the regular crime to regular heroes. But Superman said I should help, Saitama protested. Help with things that matter, Cold said as the vehicle doors closed. We're just thieves. You're something else. The transport pulled away, leaving Saitama and Flash standing in a destroyed federal vault. "Don't listen to him," Barry said firmly. "Every life saved matters. Every crime stopped matters. Cold's just bitter that his carefully crafted reputation got demolished in 15 seconds. Did I do something wrong? You did everything right. Maybe too right." Flash smiled. "Come on. Cyborg says Metallo's tearing up Metropolis. Superman's still 30 minutes out. You up for another stop? Is Metallo strong?" "He's a cyborg powered by kryptonite with the strength to go toe-to-toe with Superman." Saitama perked up slightly. "That sounds promising." "For you, it'll probably be another tap," Flash warned. "Yeah," Saitama sighed. "Probably. Metropolis burned." Not the entire city. Metallo wasn't quite that ambitious, but a 3-block radius around LexCorp Tower had become a war zone. The cyborg villain stood 15 feet tall, his metal body augmented with stolen apocalyptan technology and powered by a kryptonite heart that pulsed sickly green through his transparent chest cavity. Every step left molten footprints in the asphalt. "Luthor!" Metallo's voice boomed through speakers that rattled windows. "You promised me a body that would make me human again. Instead, you made me a weapon. Now I'm taking everything you have, starting with your tower." He grabbed a city bus, thankfully evacuated, and hurled it at LexCorp's pristine facade. The vehicle tumbled end over end, trailing screaming metal. Saitama caught it. He'd jumped from Central City, a casual leap that covered 300 miles in seconds, and arrived just in time to intercept. The bus settled gently in his arms, its frame groaning but intact. Saitama said, looking at the terrified driver still in the seat. "You should probably evacuate." The driver scrambled out and ran. Metallo's optical sensors focused on this new arrival. His combat AI processed threat assessment. Unknown humanoid, yellow costume, extensive damage to clothing suggesting recent combat, power level. Error, unable to quantify. "Who are you?" Metallo demanded. "Saitama, I'm here to stop you from breaking stuff." He set the bus down carefully. "Why are you so angry?" "Why?" Metallo's kryptonite heart flared brighter. "I was a soldier. John Corbin, served my country, lost my body in combat. And that bald snake Luthor promised to make me whole. Instead, he turned me into this." He gestured at his metal frame. "I can't taste food, can't feel warmth, can't even sleep because this cursed kryptonite heart never stops burning." Saitama's expression softened. "That sounds lonely." "Lonely?" Metallo laughed bitterly. "Try living in a body that's more weapon than man. Watching humanity from behind optical sensors. Knowing you'll never feel another person's touch because your skin is metal alloy and your heart is poison to the one hero in this city who might have understood." He stopped, his voice modulator crackling with emotion. "You're talking about Superman," Saitama said quietly. "The Kryptonian could have helped me, could have used his alien technology to fix what Luthor broke. But he can't even get close. My heart would kill him." Metallo's fist clenched. "So I'm alone, forever. And if I have to be a monster, I'll make Luthor pay for creating me." Saitama stood there, understanding more than Metallo could know. Different circumstance, same result. Power that isolated you from everyone else. "I know what it's like," Saitama said. "To have a body that doesn't feel right anymore. To be so different from normal people that you can't connect with them." "You?" Metallo scoffed. You're flesh and blood. You can't possibly... I can't taste food anymore. It all tastes the same, like nothing. Saitama's voice was hollow. I trained so hard I broke something inside myself. Made myself so strong that everything else became meaningless. I won, but I lost what made winning matter. Metallo's senses focused more intently. You're serious? Yeah, it sucks. Saitama looked at his gloved hand. But destroying stuff doesn't fix it. Trust me. I've punched a lot of things hoping I'd feel something. Never works. Just makes more messes to clean up. Then what do you suggest? Metallo's tone was dangerous. Accept this existence? Forgive Luther? Pretend everything's fine? No, make him fix it. Saitama gestured at LexCorp Tower. Luther's the smartest human on the planet, right? If he broke you, he can unbreak you. But you got to stop breaking his stuff first. Hard to fix someone when they're actively destroying your lab. He won't help me. I've tried. Then we make him. Saitama's expression hardened. I don't like bullies. And a guy who promises to fix someone then turns them into a weapon. That's bully behavior. Metallo studied this strange hero who just arrived, caught a bus, and was now offering to help him shake down Lex Luthor. You do that. Help me. I'm a villain. I've fought Superman. I've killed people. Have you killed anyone today? Well, no. I evacuated the buildings before attacking. Then you're not trying to kill people. You're just angry and hurt and don't know what else to do. Saitama started walking toward LexCorp Tower. Come on, let's go yell at Luthor together. You can't just walk into LexCorp. Saitama walked through the reinforced steel security door like it was a beaded curtain. Or you could do that, Metallo finished, following. Inside the tower, security alarms shrieked. Automated defenses activated. Plasma turrets, neural disruptors, gravitic mines. Every lethal countermeasure Luthor had installed after Saitama's last visit. They all fired simultaneously. Saitama walked through it like rain. Your boss really likes weapons, he observed. He's afraid, Metallo said, his heavy footsteps leaving cracks in the marble floor. Afraid of Superman, afraid of metahumans, afraid of anything he can't control. That's why he does what he does. Turns soldiers into weapons, builds doomsday machines, plays God with people's lives. They reached the elevator. Saitama pressed the button for the penthouse. This is insane, Metallo muttered. We're just taking the elevator, like we're here for a meeting. Aren't we? Saitama asked. The elevator doors opened on the penthouse level. Lex Luthor stood waiting, surrounded by energy shields and combat drones. His expression was cold calculation masking genuine fear. Saitama, Metallo, together. Lex's mind raced through scenarios. This is either a team-up or the strangest intervention in history. Fix him, Saitama said simply. Excuse me? You broke him. Fix him. Saitama gestured at Metallo. He was a soldier. You turned him into a weapon. That's not okay. John Corbin came to me dying. I saved his life. You saved his brain and stuck it in a metal prison. Saitama interrupted. That's not the same thing. Luthor's jaw tightened. The technology required to restore his original body doesn't exist. I did the best I could with, then do better. Saitama's voice was flat. You're supposed to be a genius. Figure it out. It's not that simple. Saitama picked up Luthor's desk, a solid mahogany antique worth 6 figures, and crumpled it into a basketball with one hand. Set it on the floor like a paperweight. Figure it out, Saitama repeated. Lex stared at his compressed desk, at Saitama's complete lack of concern, at Metallo standing behind this impossible being, hope flickering in his optical sensors for the first time in years. "You're extorting me," Lex said flatly. "I'm encouraging you," Saitama corrected. "Superman probably asks nicely. Batman probably threatens. I'm just showing you that I can compress metal really easily and hoping you make the smart choice. Which is? Help him. Actually help him, not turn him into a better weapon. Give him back what you took." Luthor's brilliant mind processed the situation. Refuse, and Saitama would likely compress him next. Comply, and he'd be showing weakness to both a metahuman and a former employee. But the tactical picture expanded. Saitama wasn't going away. This being would become a permanent fixture in Earth's hero community. Better to have him see Luthor as someone who solved problems than someone who created them. "Fine," Lex said slowly. "I'll begin research into biological restoration. Cloning technology combined with neural transfer protocols might allow for—" "How long?" Metallo's voice shook. 6 months. Maybe a year. The science is theoretical. But possible." Hope cracked through Metallo's modulated voice. "Possible." Lex turned to his holographic computer, already pulling up genetic databases. "I'll need tissue samples from before your transformation. Medical records, complete neural mapping. And John," he looked at Metallo directly, "if I do this, if I restore your humanity, you're done attacking my property. If you actually fix me," Metallo said, "I'll never bother you again." They shook on it. One human hand, one metal one, sealed by the presence of someone who could crush either of them without effort. Saitama smiled. "See? Talking works?" "You compressed my desk," Lex pointed out. "That was also talking. Just louder." Saitama's communicator chirped, "Oh, that's probably another mission." Cyborg's voice came through. "Saitama, all priority targets are contained. Jokers in custody, rogues are secured, Metallo's life signs just went peaceful. Good work on that, by the way. Batman's mopping up the remaining Talons. We're clear." "Cool," Saitama said. "So I can go home?" "Actually, Superman wants everyone back at the Watchtower. Emergency meeting. Something big." Saitama looked at Metallo. "You good?" Yes. For the first time in years. Yes." Metallo's kryptonite heart pulsed steadily. "Thank you." "Just hero stuff," Saitama said, heading for the window. He paused. "Luthor?" "Yes?" "If you don't actually help him, I'll come back. And next time it won't be the desk." He jumped through the window, leaving a Saitama-shaped hole in the supposedly unbreakable glass. Lex and Metallo stood in the destroyed penthouse, surrounded by compressed furniture and shattered security systems. "He's terrifying," Lex said finally. "He's the first person who treated me like I was worth saving instead of destroying," Metallo countered. "That makes him the best hero I've ever met." Luthor pulled up genetic reconstruction protocols, his mind already solving the impossible problem. Not because he wanted to, but because the alternative was having Saitama compress him next. "I hate that this is working," Lex muttered. Metallo laughed, a genuine sound of hope. For the first time since his transformation, the Watchtower's main conference room felt different now. 7 hours ago, it had been a place where Earth's greatest heroes gathered to face impossible threats. Now, as the Justice League assembled around the holographic table, it felt more like a classroom trying to figure out what to do with an exceptionally powerful student. Saitama sat at the end of the table, eating a sandwich Cyborg had provided. He'd changed clothes. His hero costume was being repaired after taking damage from Darkseid's Omega effect and various other apocalyptic encounters. Now he wore a plain yellow tracksuit with his signature white cape draped over the back of his chair. "So," Flash said, breaking the silence, "we're all just going to ignore that he solved 4 major crises in under 2 hours?" "Not ignoring," Batman said, pulling up holographic displays. "Analyzing." The screens showed footage. Saitama containing Joker's toxin, rendering the rogues unconscious with finger taps, negotiating Metallo's surrender through what could only be called aggressive diplomacy. Minimal casualties, property damage, while extensive, was primarily structural and repairable. No fatalities. He threatened to compress Lex Luthor, Superman pointed out, and convinced Luthor to research biological restoration for Metallo, Wonder Woman countered. "Something we've been trying to accomplish for years. I'd call that a diplomatic victory." "He compressed a desk to make his point," Clark said. "That's intimidation." "That's effective communication," Diana replied. "Sometimes warriors speak in demonstrations of strength. Metallo understood it. Luthor understood it. It worked." "Can we talk about how he befriended Darkseid?" Green Lantern interjected. "The literal god of tyranny. They had a fight. Saitama won, and now Darkseid wants a rematch. That's not normal villain behavior." "Nothing about this is normal," Batman said flatly. He turned to Saitama. "You've been here less than a week. You fought our greatest enemy to a standstill, solved multiple crises, and fundamentally altered Gotham's criminal psychology. Joker's currently requesting psychiatric evaluation, which he's never done before." "Is that bad?" Saitama asked around his sandwich. "It's unprecedented." Bruce leaned forward. "Saitama, you need to understand something. This universe has balance. Heroes and villains, power and limitation, struggle and victory. You've disrupted that balance. But I helped people. You did, efficiently, overwhelmingly, and that's the problem." Batman pulled up psychological profiles. Captain Cold is questioning his life choices. The Joker's experiencing an existential crisis. Every meta-criminal in our database is now aware that you exist, and that you're unstoppable. So, I scared them straight. You erased their relevance, Batman corrected. And when people feel irrelevant, they either give up or escalate dramatically. We're monitoring for escalation. Saitama set down his sandwich, his perpetual exhaustion showing. "I don't know what you want from me. You said help, I helped. You said stop bad guys. I stopped them. Nobody died. Isn't that what heroes do?" "Yes," Superman said quietly, and his tone made everyone pause. "That's exactly what heroes do, and you did it perfectly." He looked at Bruce. "Batman, with respect, you're treating Saitama like a threat when he's proven repeatedly that he's an ally. I'm treating him like an unknown variable with infinite power." Bruce shot back. "That's protocol." "Protocol for what?" "Contingency plans if he goes rogue." Clark's eyes flashed. "He saved hundreds of lives today. He showed mercy to every criminal he encountered. He even helped Metallo, something we failed to do. And your response is to analyze him for weaknesses?" The table fell silent. Everyone knew Batman maintained contingency plans for every League member. Everyone pretended not to know. "Clark's right," Wonder Woman said. "Saitama has done nothing to warrant suspicion. He's been heroic, compassionate, and remarkably patient with our distrust. "I'm not distrustful," Batman said. "I'm cautious." "There's a difference." "Is there?" Martian Manhunter's telepathic voice resonated with gentle reproach. "Because from Saitama's perspective, we've interrogated him, tested him, and questioned his motives at every turn. Despite this, he continues to help." Saitama raised his hand. "Can I say something?" "Of course," Superman said. "I get it. New guy shows up, he's really strong. You don't know what he wants. That's scary." Saitama's voice was tired but sincere. "In my world, people were scared of me too. The Hero Association kept testing me. Other heroes thought I was cheating. Civilians complained about property damage. I was always the problem, never the solution." He looked at his hands. "I came to this universe by accident, didn't ask to be here. But you've got heroes and villains and people who need saving, and I'm good at saving people, even if it's boring, even if it doesn't challenge me, because that's what heroes do." "Then why fight Darkseid to a standstill?" Batman pressed. "Why take risks?" "Because for 20 minutes I felt like a hero instead of a cleanup service." Saitama's eyes held desperate honesty. "Do you know what it's like to be so strong that nothing challenges you, that every victory is hollow because you never had to try? Darkseid made me try. He made me feel something." The raw emotion silenced even Batman. "But here's the thing," Saitama continued. "Even without that feeling, I still help. Because people need help, and I can provide it. Maybe that makes me a bad hero. Someone who does the right thing without feeling the struggle. But I'm the only hero I know how to be." Superman stood and walked around the table. He placed a hand on Saitama's shoulder. "That doesn't make you a bad hero. It makes you the best kind. Someone who helps even when it costs them something." "It costs me relevance," Saitama said quietly. "Every fight I win easily makes me less of a hero and more of a force of nature. But I don't know how to be weaker. I tried holding back. That's why I only tapped the rogues instead of punching them. That's why I compressed Luthor's desk instead of Luthor. I'm trying." "And we see that," Diana said firmly. "You've shown more restraint with infinite power than most heroes show with limited abilities." Cyborg pulled up data streams. "Speaking of which, we need to discuss integration. Saitama, if you're staying in this universe, we should make it official. Justice League membership comes with resources, coordination, and—" "I don't want to join," Saitama interrupted. Everyone stared. "You don't?" Flash asked. "I'm not a team guy. Never have been." Saitama stood, his yellow tracksuit somehow less ridiculous than it should have been. "But I'll help when you call. I'll stop threats when I can. I'll try not to break too much stuff." He looked at each of them. "Just don't expect me to be like you. I can't be. My power doesn't work that way." Batman studied him with new understanding. "You're afraid of becoming dependent on teamwork, afraid it'll make you weaker." "No, I'm afraid I'll make you weaker." Saitama's voice was flat with certainty. "If you rely on me, you stop trying, stop training, stop being the heroes who can handle threats when I'm not around. That's what happened in my world. Other heroes started waiting for me instead of solving problems themselves. That won't happen here," Superman promised. "It always happens. Power doesn't just corrupt the person who has it, it corrupts everyone around them, makes them dependent." Saitama walked toward the viewing window, looking down at Earth below. I broke my limits and became invincible. Don't let me break yours too." Wonder Woman joined him at the window. "You carry a heavy burden." "It's not heavy. That's the problem. Nothing's heavy anymore." He pressed a hand against the transparent aluminum. "But watching you guys work today, coordinating, trusting each other, fighting together, that looked meaningful. That looked like heroism. What I do is just cleanup." "It's more than that," Clark said, approaching. "You gave Metallo hope. You made Captain Cold question his path. You even made Joker reflect on his existence. That's not cleanup. That's changing lives. By scaring them. By showing them something beyond their understanding," Diana corrected. "Sometimes mortals need to see the divine to remember their own potential. I'm not divine. I'm just a guy who did push-ups for 3 years." Batman stood. "Regardless of what you are, we need to establish protocols, communication channels, emergency response coordination. You're operating in our universe now. That requires structure." "Fine. Give me a phone. I'll answer when you call." Saitama turned from the window. "But I'm not wearing a uniform. I'm not taking orders. And I'm not staying in one city. If I'm gonna be here, I'm going to actually explore, find strong opponents. Maybe figure out why that portal brought me here in the first place." "The dimensional breach," Cyborg said, pulling up readings. "I've been analyzing it. The energy signature matches boom tube technology, but wrong. Like someone tried to copy New God transport tech and created a dimensional tear instead." "Can you track the source?" Batman asked. "Working on it. But whoever opened that portal specifically targeted Saitama's dimension. This wasn't random. Someone was looking for him." The implication hung heavy. Someone had brought Saitama to the DC universe deliberately. "Then we have a bigger problem," Superman said. "Someone wanted the most powerful being from another dimension dropped into our reality. The question is, why?" Saitama yawned. "Can we figure that out after I sleep? I've been awake for like 30 hours. "You don't need to sleep," Flash pointed out. "Your stamina is basically infinite." "Yeah, but sleeping's boring, and I'm really good at boring." Saitama headed for the exit. "I'll be at that apartment you gave me. Call if something needs punching." He paused at the door. "And Batman, thanks for the contingency planning. It's nice knowing someone's thinking about what happens if I go bad. Makes me feel like a real hero instead of just a disaster waiting to happen." Then he was gone, leaving the Justice League in stunned silence. "Did he just thank me for planning ways to stop him?" Bruce asked. "He understands you," John said quietly. "Understands that trust without preparation is foolishness." In his own way, he was showing respect. Superman smiled. "I think we just recruited the most powerful non-member the Justice League has ever had." "He's going to be a problem," Batman said, but his tone had shifted from suspicion to resignation. "He's going to be magnificent," Wonder Woman corrected. In his small metropolis apartment, Saitama lay on a futon, staring at the ceiling. His communicator sat on the table, waiting for the next crisis. His torn hero costume hung on a chair, ready to be worn again. For the first time in 3 years, he felt something close to purpose. Not the purpose of his old life. Defending City Z, climbing hero ranks, seeking challenges. This was different. Quieter. Less about finding meaning and more about creating it through action. He had fought a god today, saved hundreds of lives. made criminals reconsider their paths, helped a cyborg find hope. It wasn't much. But it was something. And in a universe full of heroes who defined themselves by their struggles, maybe there was room for one who defined himself by his certainty. One punch, one day at a time, until someone finally gave him the fight he'd been waiting for. 3 weeks passed. Saitama became a ghost story whispered in the criminal underworld. A bold specter in yellow who could appear anywhere, stop anything, and disappear just as quickly. Lex Luthor's labs worked overtime on Metallo's restoration project, terrified that the polite hero with the impossible strength might return to encourage faster progress. The Joker remained in Arkham, voluntarily attending therapy sessions, claiming he needed to understand the punchline. Captain Cold and the Rogues went quiet, their usual heists conspicuously absent from Central City's crime reports. The Justice League adapted. They called Saitama for the impossible situations, the threats that required overwhelming force delivered with surgical precision. A parademon invasion. Saitama scattered them in minutes. Mongol challenging Earth. One serious punch sent the warlord back to Warworld, unconscious and humbled. A rampaging doomsday clone, contained before it reached civilian populations. But the mystery remained. Who had opened that dimensional portal? Who had deliberately brought Saitama to the DC universe? The answer came on a Tuesday afternoon in the form of a letter delivered to the Watchtower. No postage, no return address, just a single sheet of paper that appeared on Batman's workstation, written in elegant script that predated human civilization. The anomaly has served his purpose. The balance required disruption. When the true test comes, you will understand why I brought him here. Until then, let him play hero. Let him feel purpose. He has earned that much. A friend. Batman showed it to the League. They analyzed it. Martian Manhunter detected no psychic signature. Cyborg found no digital trace. Superman's microscopic vision revealed nothing unusual about the paper itself. Someone's playing a long game, Bruce said quietly, using Saitama as a chess piece. Then we warn him, Clark said, and tell him what? That he's part of some cosmic plan we don't understand. That'll just make him more isolated. Diana shook her head. No, we watch. We wait. And we trust that when the moment comes, Saitama will make the right choice. He always has, John observed. In Metropolis, Saitama walked through a grocery store, carefully selecting vegetables for dinner. His communicator was silent. No crises today, no villains to stop, no impossible threats requiring impossible solutions. Just a quiet Tuesday in a universe that still didn't quite know what to do with him. A child bumped into him, dropping her ice cream. She looked up, recognized the bold hero from news footage, and her eyes went wide. "You're the One-Punch Man," she said. Saitama blinked. He'd never been called that in this universe. "How'd you know that name?" "My dad watches videos about you. Says you're the strongest hero ever." She looked at her fallen ice cream sadly. "But you can't fix ice cream." Saitama bought her a new one, 2 scoops instead of 1. Her smile was brighter than any victory he'd earned through combat. As he left the store, bags in hand, he realized something. Maybe purpose wasn't found in the fight. Maybe it was found in these small moments. The child's smile, Metallo's hope, the Joker's therapy sessions, the Rogue's silence. He'd spent 3 years seeking a worthy opponent, but perhaps what he'd really been seeking was a worthy cause. And this universe, with all its complexity, all its heroes and villains, all its people just trying to survive, had given him exactly that. His communicator chirped. Cyborg's voice. Saitama, we've got a situation. Darkseid's back. He's demanding the rematch you promised. Says he's been training, found new power sources, and wants to fight you at full strength. He's waiting on the moon. Saitama felt it. That spark he'd been missing for so long. Excitement, anticipation, the promise of an actual challenge. But then he looked at his grocery bags. At the normal people around him going about their normal lives. At the city he'd helped protect, one punch at a time. Tell him I'll be there in an hour, Saitama said. I need to put my groceries away first. You're making Darkseid wait because of groceries? Yeah, the ice cream will melt. Saitama started walking home. Besides, if he's really gotten stronger, he'll still be strong in an hour. And if he hasn't, well, at least I'll have dinner ready for after. In the watchtower, the Justice League listened to this exchange in bemused silence. He's going to fight the god of tyranny, Flash said slowly, but only after he puts away his groceries. That, Superman said with a genuine smile, is the most heroic thing I've heard all week. On the moon, Darkseid waited, his new armor gleaming with technology stolen from 1,000 worlds, his power amplified by artifacts that had taken him 3 weeks to acquire. He was stronger now, faster, more prepared. This would be the battle that proved his supremacy, that reclaimed his pride, that showed the universe. Saitama appeared, wearing his hero costume, cape fluttering in the absence of atmosphere. Hey, Saitama said casually. Ready for round 2? Darkseid smiled, a genuine expression of warrior's joy. I have prepared. I have evolved. I have become cool. Let's fight. They clashed. The moon cracked beneath them, and for the first time in 3 years, Saitama, the hero for fun, the man who'd broken his limits, the unstoppable force dropped into an immovable universe, felt something beyond boredom. He felt alive. Because sometimes, the greatest battles aren't fought for survival or salvation. Sometimes they're fought simply because 2 warriors recognize in each other something worth testing, worth proving, worth honoring. And in the cold vacuum of space, beneath Earth's watchful gaze, 2 beings of impossible power fought not for conquest or glory, but for the simple, profound joy of meeting someone who could make them try. The Justice League watched from orbit, ready to intervene if necessary. They never were. Saitama and Darkseid fought for 3 hours, neither yielding, neither breaking, both finally finding in each other the challenge they'd been seeking. When they finished, exhausted but undefeated, they parted with mutual respect and an unspoken promise of future battles. Darkseid returned to Apocalypse, satisfied. Saitama returned to Metropolis, content, and the DC Universe learned what Saitama's world had already known. Some heroes don't fit the mold. Some heroes operate on their own terms, fight their own battles, and define heroism not through struggle, but through certainty. Saitama would never be a traditional Justice League member, would never lead teams or give inspiring speeches, would never experience the growth through adversity that defined most heroes, but he would be there when the impossible needed solving, when the unstoppable needed stopping, when someone needed saving, and no one else could reach them in time. He was the hero who arrived with one punch and infinite patience. The hero who'd lost everything to power, but chose to help anyway. The hero who reminded the universe that sometimes strength isn't about the fight you face. It's about choosing to face it at all, even when nothing can challenge you anymore. And in a universe full of gods, monsters, and legends, that kind of heroism was exactly what the DC universe needed. Even if it didn't know it yet. Justice never sleeps. More stories await.